People linked by destiny will always find each other.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Toss a coin to your Witcher. This is going to be my Season 2 Top 10 Predictions video, so if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I will be doing bonus videos for The Witcher while we wait for episodes to come back. We already have a loose timeline for when that's going to be, so don't worry, I'll break it down through the video, but obviously spoiler warning for everything from The Witcher Season 1 if you haven't seen the episodes yet. So starting with number 10. The Season 2 timeline will be way more linear, and even though all three of the main leads, Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer, won't always be together at the same time, for the most part, all the storylines will be happening during the same time period. I think this comes as a relief to most of you guys, because on the videos that I posted for The Witcher Season 1, there was a lot of confusion about where everybody was in the timeline in any given episode. There'll probably be a couple more flashbacks just for context, because there's still some things that happened in the past that we don't have any answers about yet, like what happened to Ciri's parents, Duny and Pavetta. They're lost at sea. We need to get a flashback to kind of explain that, maybe towards the end of Season 2. This season, you all probably noticed that the timelines were different for each character though. So Ciri started in present day, Geralt started a couple years before she was born, and then Yennefer's timeline started a couple decades before that. If it wasn't clear, even though the actress that plays Yennefer looks younger than Henry Cavill in real life, in the context of the story, Yennefer of Vengerberg is a couple decades older than Geralt of Rivia. Both mages and witchers age much slower than normal humans, so Geralt is around his 70s during the course of this season, Yennefer is around her 90s when they meet for the first time, and the books really only follow the characters until Ciri is in her 20s. So there's not a ton of huge time jumps between the first book and the last book, because right now Ciri is supposed to be around 13 years old. If you played the games though, the games are meant to be a sequel to the book story, so the characters are all a couple years older in the present day of the video games, but there are a lot of flashbacks during the video games too. Either way, the showrunner has already confirmed that the Season 2 timeline will make way more sense and be way easier to follow. Number 9, talking about what's happening at the beginning of the season. Since the TV show already changed the way that Geralt meets Ciri, and on the show, this peasant family lives right next to Sodden Hill, where that big battle was going on. The next big thing that they'll probably do, as Geralt told the man who saved him, is travel through Sodden Hill to get to Kaer Morhen in the School of the Wolf. That's where Vesemir is, where Geralt was raised and trained to be a Witcher. If you haven't read the books or you haven't played the games, there are several different schools for Witchers. The School of the Wolf is just one of them. Initially, he wanted to go there because he was slowly dying from his wounds, but because he just found Ciri, his child of surprise, and the person he's charged to protect, it just makes sense to go to Kaer Morhen because it's way safer there. Number 8, on the way through Sodden Hill, they'll also probably try to find Yennefer. There were a couple of reasons why Ciri said, "Who's Yennefer?" when they met in the woods, even though Ciri herself has never heard Yennefer of Vengerberg's name spoken out loud. She probably didn't even know she existed to the last few episodes. The reason why she says her name, though, is 1, probably because of her elder blood, powerful magic giving her visions and dreams that she doesn't totally understand. In the books, Ciri's crazy powers give her really dark dreams, so she's probably thinking to herself, why do I keep hearing this name Yennefer in my head and in my dreams? Who is this person that I keep thinking about? And 2, the more practical reason for sending them through Sodden Hill on their way to the School of the Wolf is for story progression. It allows Geralt to try and find out whether or not Yennefer was killed during the battle, because Yennefer, Geralt, and Ciri probably won't all be together for a good long while. Most of Geralt's story for the first half of Season 2 will probably just be him and Ciri together. Papa bless. But number 7, because we are going to the School of the Wolf, we'll probably meet Vesemir for the first time on the show. We didn't see his character during Season 1 because the closest we got there was when we saw the flashbacks of Geralt's mother, Visenna, leaving him at their doorstep, so to speak. If you've been on Twitter the last couple of days too, you probably saw Mark Hamill was tweeting about it. Ever since they announced Netflix was doing a Witcher series, people were tweeting at Mark Hamill that he should be Vesemir. He's never read the Witcher books, never played the games, so he has no idea what the Witcher story is or who Vesemir is, but as you can see, he's totally down to play him. Even the showrunner, Lauren Hissrich, made it seem like she was going to reach out to him. So if his schedule works out with their shooting days for Season 2, which is sometime next spring, we could totally see Mark Hamill Vesemir. If you're not familiar with the character, Vesemir is just a much older Witcher who taught Geralt and helps teach Ciri in the books, so he's sort of soft retired from regular Witcher monster hunting duties and spends most of his time at the School of the Wolf as an instructor. Speaking of which, number 6, big one, Ciri will probably begin training to become a Witcher herself pretty soon. They changed the reason why Geralt chose her as his child of surprise from the books. On the TV show, they made it seem like more of a coincidence, like, okay, I'll do the same thing that you did and choose the Law of Surprise, and then he finds out that they're pregnant. But in the books, Geralt knows that Ciri's mother Pavetta is pregnant before he chooses the Law of Surprise. And in the books, his hope was that it would be a boy so that he could train that boy to become another Witcher, because in the present day of the books, the Witcher Order is slowly dying out. There was that line of dialogue earlier in the season from Yennefer where she says, "There's so few Witchers left in the world, why do I keep running into you all of a sudden?" The reason why their order is slowly dying out is because so few children survive the trials that they go through to become Witchers. They go the trial of the grasses, they take a bunch of potions that give them their Witcher mutations with their special powers. Most kids wind up dying during that, so it's just a simple math equation. You have fewer new Witchers being minted and older ones dying off or being killed quicker and quicker, so it's just rapidly shrinking their order around the world. And even though they haven't really talked about it, part of Geralt's implied duty to the School of the Wolf as a Witcher is to help create more Witchers to sustain the order. So even though Ciri is born a girl, his goal is still the same. He needs to create more Witchers. So because Ciri belongs to him as child of surprise, and he has no use for an actual child, like his main goal is basically just to create a new Witcher. Like, okay, here you go. So even though his goals are very simple, all the Ciri Elderblood stuff, the Nilfgaard War, Emperor Emhyr, just make things way more complicated for him. And you also notice in those flashbacks that Geralt is about the same age as Ciri when his mother drops him off at the School of the Wolf, so Ciri is of a proper age to begin training. If you've ever played the games too, you see Ciri training in a flashback scene at the very beginning of Witcher 3. Number 5, Ciri's Elder Blood is going to continue to manifest itself in more weird ways, freaking out Geralt and Vesemir. We've already seen her use her abilities without trying, just completely Hulk out on these brigands. She has no control over them, she doesn't know anything about her special bloodline, so they'll need someone like Yennefer or Triss or another mage to explain how Ciri's powers work, what it all means, and why she's even more important now than she was before. Because you have to remember that even without the Elder Blood and the special magical powers, Ciri is already a really important person because she's the rightful heir to the throne of Cintra, and through her grandmother's marriage to this guy, to the Skellig, and that's not even the end of it. Through her father, Duny, she's also heir to a much larger territory, which we can't really talk about without getting into spoilers, so if you have read the books or played the games, please do not post spoilers for Ciri's father, Duny. Number 4, since Yennefer took off after the Battle of Sodden Hill, she probably won't be around to help Geralt with Ciri, probably at least until the middle or near the end of Season 2, depending on how fast they move through the timeline. But Yennefer is the most qualified person to help train Ciri in magic, because she is one of the most powerful magical people on the show, but she just doesn't understand how her powers work. Most of this probably won't happen till after Geralt realizes what's going on with Ciri, because he's only just met her here, he hasn't seen her use any of her powers or anything like that, and no one's told him about her special powers. He's very learned as a Witcher, but he only has rudimentary knowledge of magic. Like, he can cast all those signs that you saw during the season. Like, this is the Ard sign, the one that he uses during the Butcher of Blaviken fight when he blasts them back with his telekinetic force. There's the Ignis sign, the Quen, the Axii, the Yrden signs, but that's pretty much the extent of his magical knowledge, so that's why you need someone like Yennefer or Triss to come in and teach Ciri actual magic. Number 3, we'll probably meet Emperor Emhyr officially in Nilfgaard for the first time. We've only heard about him on the show so far, but if you've read the books, please don't post spoilers about Emperor Emhyr. He's the one who ordered the attack on Sodden Hill. He's the one that Fringilla keeps referring to as the White Flame, quote-unquote, in the last few episodes. He ousted the usurper from his throne, and he's been reforming Nilfgaardian politics and cleaning house since retaking his throne the last couple of years. He's also the one who ordered Cahir, this character here, to bring Ciri to him at the beginning of the season. When you think about all the stuff he's responsible for this season, he does kind of come off like a villain, but he does have a good reason for doing what he's doing that we might not find out about till a little bit later. But because it's meant to play like a big reveal, like I said, please no spoilers about Emperor Emhyr in the comments. Number 2, we'll learn more about the mage Vilgefortz, who we saw in the final few episodes of Season 1. He seemed like he was fighting against Nilfgaard on the side of the Brotherhood of Sorcerers. They kept referring to how battle-hungry he was and how much time he'd spent making war. He had that big fight with Cahir, even though he lost. I know a lot of people were upset about that because Vilgefortz is way more powerful than that in the books. He would have never lost to Cahir. but he seems like he's a good character fighting for the Brotherhood. But then there's this last scene with him that we saw in the finale that's super important because, like he said, supposed to be fighting to defeat Nilfgaard. Then why does he brutally kill one of his fellow mages from the Brotherhood when he asks for his help? If it wasn't clear, Vilgefortz is killing one of the good guys here. That's why you see all these other dead Nilfgaardian soldiers around him. Help me, bro, then he just bludgeons him to death. There's a very important reason why he's probably doing that and why it seems like he may have flipped sides during the battle. Maybe wants to get rid of the Brotherhood. Like, think about the other mage that came for Yennefer as a saboteur within their ranks while she was on the tower. We'll learn more about what's going on with him next season, but he's a hugely important character in the books. In number 1, finally, we'll also learn how all these disparate events during Season 1 are connected and how Ciri is at the center of everything. The disappearance of her mother and father, Duny and Pavetta, the fall of Cintra, the Nilfgaardian Wars, the Battle of Sodden Hill, Vilgefortz, Emperor Emhyr, the Dryads, and the Elder Blood. It's all connected and Ciri is at the center of everything. The showrunner said that they had about a 7-season plan. I'm expecting them to make it to at least 4 or 5, so I don't think that they're going to reveal all these things and how everything is connected by the end of Season 2, so please don't post spoilers if you have read the books or played the games. If you want to find answers to all those questions, though, you can read the books and play the games while you wait for Season 2 to get here. It's all in there. The games don't cover everything from the books. They're kind of meant to be a sequel to the book story, but they do have a bunch of flashbacks and big reveals about stuff that happened during the books. The games are just really cool either way. They're just really badass games. Right now, the Season 2 release date won't be till 2021, but I'm assuming it'll be summer 2021 or later because the Game of Thrones prequel series will probably release in spring 2021, and I don't think that Netflix wants The Witcher to have to compete with that, so expect them to plan around the Game of Thrones prequel, which will probably run from April to June. I'll keep doing bonus videos through the next week or so leave all your video requests and big questions and predictions for Season 2 on the video. Everyone, click here for all my Witcher Netflix episode videos and Easter eggs, and click here for my Mandalorian Season 2 teaser video and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody toss